Thank you to PlayStation for providing an early and free copy of MLB The Show 18. So MLB The Show 18 is finally here. We finally get to play this game. We have been waiting for it for so long now. So many players are returning to the game this year. We have so many veterans coming back, but we do also have a lot of new players coming into the franchise this year. Every single year, MLB The Show adds a lot of new players to the game. A lot of guys are picking up the title for the first time in the franchise's history, so there's always some people that are looking for tips and looking for pointers right to get started. And hitting in MLB The Show is arguably the most important aspect. You could argue pitching, of course, but you spend a lot of time hitting in this game, and hitting can be a little bit overwhelming. So what I want to do in this video is I want to give 5 tips to how you can become a better hitter in MLB The Show. And just to be clear, I'm not the best player in the game. I'm not the best hitter in the game. I'm far from it. But I think I'm pretty decent at the game. Last year in MLB The Show 17, out of 350,000 people that played online in Diamond Dynasty, I finished at number 242. So I was in the top, technically on the leaderboard, I was in the top 1%. So I've modeled a lot of my settings after the top guys like Pitching Rebel, Zeke, Chesty, McGunsky, J-Rod, all the really top guys. I've modeled a lot of my settings after theirs, and they've really worked for me, so I wanted to share some of these with any new viewers who might be coming into the game for the first time this year. So here we go, guys. 5 tips to get better at hitting. So I'm here in the custom practice game mode that you can get to from the main menu on MLB The Show, and the first tip I have for you guys is use the strike zone camera angle for hitting. If you are unaware, this is what the strike zone camera looks like. You are right up close on the home plate. You can see the strike zone super big. You are really close to the pitcher. This is as close as you're going to get to the pitcher as possible. The reason that this camera angle works so well is because you can really judge where balls are gonna go in which part of the strike zone. There might be some borderline calls that you might not be able to tell if you're using a batting angle such as fisheye or MLB The Show 15 or the Show 16 or whatever. One of those ones where you're really far back from the strike zone, you're really far back from the plate. It's gonna be hard to kind of judge some of those borderline calls. With strike zone, you can see it perfectly. You can really judge which ones are gonna be outside, inside, on the corner, whatever. You can really judge that, and you can really improve your discipline. It also, for me personally, it's a lot easier to track the ball. I think it's a lot easier to kind of put your PCI on the ball. I'll get into the PCI in a little bit here. That'll be one of the next tips. But yeah, you can really be precise in this camera angle because you can really see where the ball's going. You can really place it well. So strike zone for me is 100% the best camera. If you look at some other camera angles such as, offset, or you definitely don't want to hit from any outfield cameras, but if you look at some other cameras like the Show 16, Catcher High, Fisheye 2, ones where you're really far back, it just gets tougher and tougher to judge some of these borderline strike calls. So that's why I recommend strike zone, and I know a lot of the top players in the game do use strike zone. Now, of course, there is a bit of personal preference added to this, so if you don't like strike zone, you don't have to use it. I'm just saying that's what works really well for me, and of course for some other really top players as well. If you really don't want to use strike zone, there are some other cameras that I could recommend to you. Strike zone 2 is not that bad. Strike zone offset, it's kind of the same thing as strike zone, really. Offset zoom I really like as well. This is probably my second favorite camera angle. You can still see the batter, and you're still pretty close to the strike zone here. I'll actually give you a little bit of gameplay with this camera. You're still pretty close to the strike zone, and you can you can see the pitcher, you can see your batter. This one's not as bad. As far as that, those are the only 2 camera angles I really do recommend. I personally just don't recommend anything like fisheye or, one of these really far back ones. I know Healy used to use fisheye and he liked it, and he's a good player as well. So it just depends whatever you want to do, but if you're really looking to improve your game, use strike zone. And guys, I know it can be overwhelming, but practice with strike zone. I promise you, you will get better. I used to use a camera angle like fisheye. Once I switched to strike zone and I really started working day in and day out at getting better, I really did. So strike zone, definitely one of my first tips. So the next tip I have for you guys is use zone hitting. You may notice this big yellow round thing in the middle of my strike zone that I can control with my left joystick. That is called the PCI. I will talk a little bit more about the PCI in a tip coming up here, but for as far as the different ways you can hit, definitely use zone. Now, the reason I say use zone over some other ones like directional and pure analog is because zone just gives you the most total control of your entire PCI and the entire plate, really. Directional is the one where you just aim the stick and press X to like what kind of part of the field you want to hit it to, and that one can be okay, but at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of hits that you weren't really anticipating going for. You're going to kind of struggle a little bit with where the ball might go and, you know, where you're looking for the pitch. It just kind of gets, you don't have that much control, and, you know, sometimes it might work in your favor if you just kind of, you know, panic swing or something like that and you get a base hit to where you want it to go or where you don't. Sometimes it can work out like that, you know, that's just baseball. But yeah, directional is just not as good as zone. Zone gives you the most possible control over the entire plate. And then pure analog, I don't really know why you'd use this to begin with. It's just not, it's not efficient. You know, you have to use the sticks, you have to use the flick. It's just not, you don't get really any control with this at all. So definitely use zone. Input type buttons, keep that. Analog type doesn't matter. And then PCI on. So yeah, the second tip, definitely use zone hitting. You can see this is what zone hitting looks like right here with the yellow PCI moving around. And then I can, you know, hit the ball. I just got to move the PCI to where the pitch is coming, and then if I time it right and get a good contact, most of the time it's going to result in a hard hit ball. It won't always result in a hit because that's not baseball. Oh, that's a foul ball. Giancarlo almost went yard. So tip number 3, I have choose a PCI design that you are comfortable with. There are multiple different ones to choose from. Remember, the PCI is the the yellow lines in the strike zone when you're using zone hitting. You can control it with the left stick. You can actually change what that looks like to one that you're more comfortable with. So right now I have it on wedge. I do like wedge. Wedge is probably my favorite because I do like the dot in the middle. I think the dot makes it a lot easier to actually make contact on a ball. So I do like going with that one. As you can see, I just got a lefty-lefty hit with Brett Gardner off Chris Sale. I probably wouldn't do that with some other PCIs, and I got pretty good contact results. So you can also change it to some other ones. So right now I'm going to change it to dynamic. I think dynamic might be a new one this year, if I'm not mistaken. So as you can see, I've changed it to dynamic. This one is a little bit more of the entire circle that it actually represents, and you can see the top of it is it's more of a dark yellow line that just goes with the batter. I think this is Sanchez. Is this Gary Sanchez? Who is this? Yeah, it's Sanchez. Sanchez is going to have a better luck hitting a ball up. That's why the thing is up there. So it kind of moves with the player. Next up, you have this one, which is called Reticle. I like this one as well. It's probably my second favorite behind wedge. I don't know. I don't like the ones that have the bars on the top of the full circle, just because it kind of blocks my vision. It kind of blocks my sight on the guy's release point, basically is what I'm saying. I can't really see the ball out of the pitcher's hand that well, so I prefer reticle or wedge. I'll show you guys a couple more too. Alright, so this one is really weird. This one is called buckshot. There's some people I know that did use this last year. Aqua, Reddit mod, he's a big member of the community. This one is a little bit weirder. Obviously, you want to hit it right in the middle of where the buckshot thing is, the ones outside, the little dots on the outside. Those will not give you the best placement. So there's buckshot. There's also classic and outline. Those are the other two, so let's see those ones real quick. This is classic. It's a lot like dynamic, but dynamic kind of goes with the player. Classic will just stay as this yellow circle the entire time. So this is another good one. And then last but not least, you have outline. This one is kind of a mix of wedge and classic. It's got the whole circle in it as well as the dot in the middle. I just went yard with, I think that's Sanchez. So, you know, it just depends on what you like. Personally, I recommend wedge or reticle. I think those are the two best ones to use in the game. All right, tip number 4 is be disciplined. Do not be afraid to take pitches. That's a two-seam fastball right down the middle. You could probably do some damage on that pitch, but you can also take that pitch, work deeper in the at-bat, let the pitcher throw a few more pitches. Now you've got a 1-1 count. Now you got to make the guy work because you don't want to get in a 2-1 count to a hitter, especially in Yankee Stadium. And also, the more balls that you do make a pitcher throw, the more that his pitch confidence will go down. When when that pitch confidence goes down, it's harder for the pitcher to actually hit his spots. So you want to make the guy throw a lot of pitches. You want to work deep in at-bats. Do not be afraid to take a strike. If you see a pitch and you swing at a strike, if you swing at a strike and miss, that will make the pitcher's confidence go up more than it will if you just take the strike. So you don't want to swing and miss. It does not matter if you take a strike. It's really not a big deal. Just focus on the next pitch, move on. So be disciplined, really, guys. If you can work counts deep, I know this is kind of a basic baseball tip anyway, but if you can work deep into counts and make the guy throw a lot of pitches, his confidence meter will go down and he will make more mistakes. So be disciplined, honestly, is one of the biggest tips I can give you. You know, I gave you tips on like settings to change, like PCI, strike zone camera, stuff like that. As far as just playing the game and batter versus pitcher, if you're disciplined and you're winning at bats with, you know, taking pitches and not swinging at junk and stuff like that, you are going to have a lot more success. You're going to hit the ball a lot harder, and always keep your eye on that pitch confidence meter. All you can do is you hold down R2 to see his pitches. You see energy and confidence right there. As that thing goes down, the blue meter, once that goes down, he will probably make more mistake pitches. So do not be afraid to take pitches. Be disciplined. Get good at hitting with 2 strikes, and you're going to hit a lot better. I guarantee it. And tip number 5, guys, really is just a basic tip. You know, it may not even seem like that big deal, but just practice. I know that sounds generic. I know that sounds basic, and it doesn't really sound like there's a lot of thought that went into that, but you will be surprised at how good you can get by just continuing to practice, continuing to get better. This new custom practice mode that they added into the game is honestly so nice. It is so nice to have this mode in the game, because literally, look, I have Gary Sanchez versus Chris Sale, nobody on, nobody out. I can literally just create a play. If I want to put a runner in scoring position, sure, with an 0-2 count with 1 out, I can do that. Now the play is made, and boom, just like that, we are in a situation where we have a runner in scoring position with 1 out on a 2-strike count. Like, you can get better at everything situationally. You want to approach certain at-bats different than others. If it's a two out, nobody on, 2 outs, all you want to do is put a ball in play, maybe start a little rally. If it's nobody on, nobody out, like you're the leadoff guy in the inning, you know, you can try and swing away for the fences a little bit more. You know, you want to get those runs in, but just as long as you are understanding the situation and you are practicing consistently, I guarantee you guys are going to get better. When you are doing this, I'm doing it on veteran right now. I'm not playing on a hard difficulty. I just wanted to show you guys some settings and stuff like that. But when you are doing this, I highly, if you really want to get good, I highly recommend using the legend difficulty. You know, it may be hard, but that's how you're going to get better, man. That's how you're going to spot the PCI more. The PCI is going to shrink, so it's going to be harder to actually make good contact. But once you start to understand pitch break, pitch movement, and you just keep practicing in the practice mode, you guys are going to be so much better. And I really want you guys to not give up, especially if you're using the strike zone camera and you're trying out these settings. I'm telling you guys, they will make you better. You just have to put in the work, and you just have to practice with it. So those are my 5 tips for hitting. I do have one more, but I'm not going to count it as a tip, because you guys are going to say, oh, Cougs is a sellout if he says this. But I do use these things on my controllers called Control Freaks. As you can see, the joystick right here, the one for hitting, is it's very extended, because I have these things called Control Freaks. They're little things you can just stick on your controller and just boom. Oh, whoops. That was awkward. Boom, it's on there. Boom, it's off. Boom, it's on there. It just sticks on really easily. And basically all these do is they just extend your joystick, and it actually gives you a wider range of movement, allowing you to be more precise with your PCI, and they do help with pitching as well. So I highly recommend them. If you guys are interested, you can go to controlfreak.com, pick one out, and you can actually use code COUGS to save 10% off your purchase. So it's there. I'm just saying. I'm not counting as a tip, but they do help. They made me a better player. Just saying. All right, guys, so those are my 5 hitting tips for MLB The Show 18. Let me know if you feel like you've improved. Watch this video, use these settings, and then come back in a month or 2, comment on the video and be like, hey, or just let me know if you got better. If you didn't, then I'm sorry, but these are the settings that I use and they've made me better. But I hope I can help you guys in any way I can. So thank you for watching this video, guys. Drop a like on it if you did enjoy. Thank you again to Sony for providing the early and free copy of the game. Subscribe to the channel if you're new for more MLB The Show 18 content every single day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.